I have been playing quite a bit of mini Motorways in my free time. It's actually one of the few games I've spent my free time on in the past few years, so I figured I'd make this video to share with you some secret tips I wish I knew before I started playing. Okay, maybe they aren't secrets, but I think they're super useful to know anyway. For transparency, Mini Motorways sponsored my other gameplay video, but not this one. I just really enjoyed the game, so decided to make this myself. Now, let's get started with some tips and tricks. Number 1. You don't have to connect every house immediately. But generally, buildings can request as many cars as there are on the map, so eventually you need every car possible. This tip is especially important in expert mode where you can't remove roads later. So at the start, only connect houses when you really need to. Once things start blowing up, then you want to try and get as many houses connected as possible. Keep in mind though, like Tetris, defeat is inevitable. Glory lies in how spectacular your defeat is in this game. Tip number 2. Not every house of a color needs to be connected to every destination of that color. When I first started playing, I kind of assumed that all red houses needed to be connected to all the red buildings. This just causes a bunch of unnecessary intersections and jams. Depending on distance, a building only needs a certain number of houses to keep it serviced. If it's really close, 2 or 3 houses will do. Medium distance, maybe 4 to 6. In fact, too many houses connected to a destination coming in from multiple angles can cause jams, even if they're all red cars going to a single red building. Smooth flow is often more important than sheer quantity of cars. Number 3. When a building calls for a car, it calls the nearest available one by travel distance. It's not random. It's something when I first started playing, I wasn't too sure how this system decided which car was being sent to which building, but when a building calls for a car, it doesn't measure the distance as the crow flies, as in a straight line. It uses the shortest route to source a car. This is especially notable when you're using motorways. I first thought houses further away would be ignored and I wouldn't be able to clear up an intersection or something like that. But if a motorway provides a direct road from a bunch of houses to a destination, it often is considered closer than other houses that are geographically closer. So building a motorway to further away houses, that building might actually start prioritizing those further away houses as long as the travel distance is shorter. Number 4. Bridges and motorways don't have a maximum distance, but bridge tiles still take road points to place. Outside of certain challenges, motorways can span the entire map without costing anything extra. Just stretch it across and it's fine. Also, the bridges that you get are only needed to cross the threshold from land to water. Once on the water, you can draw the bridge as long and windy as you like. It costs road tiles, but the bridge itself can be any length and pretty much any shape. It just can't have any intersections, so no intersections on bridges. But besides that, as long as you like. Tip number 5. It's okay to destroy and rebuild your entire city after getting more stuff, as long as you're not in expert mode. In classic mode and in most challenges, you can delete anything and get it back. Once a city gets to a certain size, not only does its needs change, you have more tools at your disposal. More bridges, motorways, roundabouts, and traffic lights. It's okay to pause the game and redesign the whole thing if you want. Probably not best to do as the city is already gridlocked, but if you're like halfway through a challenge or halfway through building up your city, it might be best to just demolish everything and rebuild it from scratch because your houses just pop up wherever they like. But tip number 6 is a warning to this one. And tip 6 is if it's possible, it's best to place new infrastructure before deleting any old infrastructure. You can destroy anything and get it back, unless you're playing in expert mode, of course. But you can't place the thing you removed again until it's fully cleared, which can take a long time, especially long bridges or motorways. Once you mark something to be deleted, all new cars will behave as if it's gone, but any existing car will treat it like it's still there, and it won't fully clear and you won't be able to place it again until all existing cars are done with it. Be careful, you can lose while waiting for them to despawn. If you are thinking of deleting a motorway, then using that exact motorway to solve the same problem just in another direction, it's probably not gonna work, because while waiting for that motorway to fully despawn, the buildings at the destination at the end of that motorway will fill up and you'll lose. So if you have another motorway in your pocket, place that down first, then delete the other motorway. Tip number 7. Houses are always flexible. In expert mode, you can't remove anything after a bit of time passes, after you place it. But houses can always be rotated. Sometimes you can solve problems simply by rotating a house onto an adjacent road. It doesn't sound like much, but it can be surprisingly effective pulling a house off one road and sending it down another. Or in some cases, you can even micro a house to alternate between two different adjacent roads. So when you see these clusters of houses, you might actually want to set up some roads to reach a house from 2 or more different angles, because you never know, maybe later down the line, you'd want to switch it from one road to another. And that can be done even in expert mode. And tip number 8, new things can't spawn where you've already placed things. The game is of course balanced so that everything that needs to spawn will spawn, but I've never seen it delete something I've already placed. If you have a ton of roads to put down, you can try control spawn locations. Things can always spawn outside the current buildable area as the map zooms out, but some challenge modes have you starting with hundreds of road tiles, for one example, where you can use this trick. You can also rotate houses that spawn to free up tiles you want other things to spawn on. Houses often spawn in clusters, so rotate them as they spawn to try and get a nice arrangement. Maybe there is a big enough spot in the middle of your city where a building might spawn, but you really don't want a building to spawn there. It might be worth it to spend some road tiles to block that spot, even in expert mode where you won't be able to remove that later. And that's 8 things I wish I knew before playing mini motorways. Let me know, did you learn anything new from this video? Or are you already experts who are dominating the leaderboards? Anyway, if you want to see me play mini motorways for reals, check out the video linked on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in that next video.